Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Tracy, and Johnny, and Anushka for leading us so beautifully in worship today. Bringing the Spirit right here into us, into our bodies. So we're going to do something a little different today, and I already see anxiety rising. Calm down. I know you all can do this. We're going to look at the screen, and we actually all going to read the scripture today. And this is not because I'm lazy. This is because I think you gain a different experience of the scripture if those words are formed in your mouth. And at the same time, you get to listen to one another speaking these words of wisdom that come out of the scripture. And so we have a good balance between speaking and listening. We're going to speak one verse, this group, and the next verse, this group. Are you ready?
Ready.
I'm going to read from 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 5. Would you please start? David again gathered all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. David and all the people with him set out and went from Mount Judah to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, who is enthroned on the cherubim. They carried the ark of God on a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, were driving the new cart. The ark of God and Ahio went in front of the ark. David and all the house of Israel were dancing before the Lord with all their might, with songs and lyres and harps and tambourines and castanets and cymbals. Thank you, God. joyful dancing. We continue to read the scripture this group starts. It was told to King David, the Lord has blessed the household of Obed-Edom and all that belongs to him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing.
And when those who bore the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed an ox and a fatling.
David danced before the Lord with all his might. David was girded with a linen ephod.
So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet.
As the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michelle, daughter of Saul, looked out of the window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And she despised him in her heart.
They brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the tent that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and offerings of well-being before the Lord.
When David had finished offering the burnt offerings and the offerings of the well-being, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts.
And distributed food among all the people, the whole multitude of Israel, both men and women, to each a cake of bread, a portion of meat, and a cake of raisins. And all the people went back to their homes.
The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
I think that meeting someone today, these days, is considerably harder than it used to be. I mean, I remember the days when I would go to a party or some event or a sports event or playing sports, and I would meet someone and I would know immediately if I'm interested in that person, if I like that person. I would know it immediately. Today, like with everything else we do, we put the whole dating scene onto the internet. So you fill out a profile, you upload a picture, and you put yourself out there, and other people do the same thing, and then you receive in your inbox the profiles of these people, and that supposedly match whatever you wrote down. And you look at that, and nothing. I can't tell. I can tell if I would like someone by just what I see written, they're 6'1" tall, or they're whatever, I can't tell. And you know what I'm missing is the physical body of that person in the room, so that my body can give me a gut reaction. Because that is what I need to know, how do I feel about this person? I need the presence of that person in the room. Otherwise, I'd be really kind of lost. Our bodies are not just our bodies, we are bodies. And we experience life through our bodies. This is an important part of us, just like what we just saw with those beautiful dancers. Can we give them another joy, pure joy and celebration, right? You saw it, it was just beautiful, full of life, full of joy, full of praise and love for God, and we all felt it. We all felt it. We felt it with our bodies. It is like, we call this a visceral experience, when our bodies engage in what we see, and everything. I would say, some of us know this as sympathy pains also, As an opera singer, I can tell you, when I hear someone sing with a really bad technique and their voice sounds all scratchy and so on, my voice starts hurting, even though I haven't sung a note. But my muscles are working while I'm listening to that, and I was like, and I'm all hoarse after that. When I first started researching this text, the word that jumped out immediately at me was the word dance. It was so physical. Every time we read scripture, it seems a lot very cerebral, a lot for the head. Think through it. A dance is such a physical experience, and David embodied this joy that he had had dancing in front of the ark of the Lord, which is the chief symbol of the Lord of Israel in the presence of Israel. That ark is very important, right? This is, maybe I should catch you up why this is so important. I don't know. We have kind of talked about it a little bit in the past, because we've been in Samuel for a while now, ever since, Pentecost, I think. So for a long time. And so the ark of the Lord, that chief symbol of the presence of the Lord, was in Shiloh. And Eli and his two sons were the priests over the ark. And you remember Eli was the mentor of Samuel. And Samuel eventually anointed David king. So here's the relation. So the Israelites were in war with the Philistines, and so they know, we bring our warrior God in our midst, and we will win the battle. So they brought the ark to the battlefield. Now, but they didn't count on all of the discretions of the two sons of Eli. They didn't do so well. And so the Israelites did not win the battle. In fact, the ark got captured by the Philistines, and the Philistines, well, then once they had the ark, they were actually really afraid of it because it brought death and destruction, and so they wanted to get rid of it again. So they gave it back to the Israelites, and the Israelites deposited it in the house of Abinadab. Remember Abinadab? That was at the beginning of our scripture. This is where we enter again. So David, who had defeated the Philistines, now was assembling another big group of warriors, and he thought, and we all think, like, okay, on to the next battle, right? 30,000 warriors, this got to be one heck of a battle. Yeah, no, he is going to get the ark and bring it to the city of David. And so he's taken all of these warriors, and he is marching toward Abinadab's house, and they get the ark, and they carry it out, and they are so joyful. So they dance, because there are no words to express that. I couldn't have put this in words, what we just saw. That was just so beautiful. What an experience, right? So David and all the Israelites dance, and they are just so joyful. And we would think, all right, so one thing that we noticed in the text, so we read the text, then we watched our dances, we experienced this dance, and then we read another text. Do you remember that? Yeah, and David danced again, and he kind of danced differently. Did you notice that? The dance was a little different. Well, this is because we left out about 6 verses. Something happened there, and I want you to know what that was. So the sons of Abinadab, Uzzah and Ahio, they were carrying the ark, kind of like what Priscilla in her ingenious way was doing here earlier with Hope and I can't remember who else. The two kids who were carrying the ark. So they were doing this, and did you notice how they kind of halfway dropped the ark too? So that's what these two did, Ohio, and they dropped the ark, and Uzzah stepped in and touched the ark to steady it. That did not please the Lord. That was irreverent, and he was struck dead. David was not happy. So they left the ark at this town of Obed-Edom, and he went away for a while to kind of get over that. That was an experience he did not expect. The Lord eventually told David to go get the ark, and so he again went and got the ark. Now we just hear about David went and got the ark. Still, they built a new chariot and got the ark. And did you notice, after 6 steps, they stopped and they made a sacrifice to God. They celebrated then. David had learned something about God. And his dance then, he was stripped down to his linen cloth, and his dance is much more vulnerable at that point. I would imagine that his dance has a mix of joy and celebration and maybe some grief and humility and maybe some reverence. So it changes. If I would ask our dancers to dance the second dance, I bet they would dance it differently too, like when they dance their first dance. So David learned something about God and he expressed it again through our body. Our bodies are not just our bodies, we are our bodies, and we experience life through that. And why do I keep repeating that sentence? It's not accidental. Movement could be called our first language. Our first language. When we are born, we have no speech, right? We cannot communicate with words. And we all know this, all of us who deal with babies, we know that that's kind of a universal language, because whether that baby is from here or there or who knows where, we understand how a baby works, right? They squirm this way when they're tired, they go like this, or when they, are hungry, they have the angry face on. And we know how that works, right? We understand that language. And we continue this body language all the way into adulthood. So if I was trying to communicate with someone whose language I don't speak, I'm going to start, trying to explain it with hand and feet. So we still continue to do that. And yet, do you notice that movement, which dance is an extension of movement, is not really practiced so much in the church, in worship? This is the first time I experienced liturgical dancers at Westminster. And that's no accident, because we came from a time where they created for us, so to speak, a gap between the body and your emotions and the cognitive reasonable thought. This happened in a time when it's called the Enlightenment. It was in the 17th, 18th century, and the idea of thought started rising. In fact, the word was, I think, therefore I am. Thinking defined us as humans. And what resulted out of that is, like every time the pendulum swings, it goes all the way to the other side. And so a gap was created that then grew wider and wider, and the church, of course, like always, picked up on that, and we separated movement from thought. We divided our brain from our body. Why would we do that? It is something that is innate in us. You don't find that, however, in places where the Enlightenment didn't happen. This is why in Africa the people are dancing for the Lord. That is, the drums are drumming. In fact, there's no music when there's no drum beat in sub-Saharan Africa. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't exist. And drum means dance. So, we, unfortunately, since the Enlightenment in the Western European Church, and then also swung right over to here, to America, we stopped dancing altogether. In some denominations, you are not allowed to dance at all, in fact. And that's where that comes from. However, Scripture is full of the expression of dramatic movement. Isn't it? Did we just read it? David danced. You know who else danced? Miriam danced. Miriam danced as well. She danced after they went through the Red Sea safely. Miriam danced. Moses danced. Aaron danced. The Israelites danced. We dance. And then we stopped dancing. I want to tell you something. Neuroscientists actually came up with a study that said that rational thought is not possible without the gut reactions we call somatic markers. Remember how I started out? I can't have a gut reaction if my body's not, if I'm only doing everything up here, I cannot have a gut reaction. And then nothing disconnected anymore. Semantic markers increase the accuracy of efficiency of our reasoning process. This is a partnership of cognition and emotion that makes rational thought possible. Our brains are interpreting our bodily experience. Why am I bringing this up? What does it have to do with us? What do we learn from that? Our physical presence when the church gathers is vital, and here is why. The stimuli we receive in worship, like we sing together, we watched dancers, and our bodies reacted to that. I saw you, I watched you. You moved in a limited way, which were still your seats, but you could have gotten up and moved with them.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen. Amen. You could have done that. So, what we experience in worship with each other in our bodies shapes in our mind the image of who God is. Hear this again. How we experience worship with one another helps us to get to know God. What is it that we say every time when we say, what is the mission of Westminster? We say, okay, stop right there. We say, love God. And that comes from Scripture again, because that is the greatest commandment. This is what Jesus said is the greatest. That's a superlative. There's nothing above there, right? This is it. Love God. Greatest commandment. That's what we need to do. Love God. But how can I love God when I can't experience God? If my body is disconnected from my brain, I cannot get to know God, and I need to get to know God to love God. I need to be here with you, with each one of you, because each one of you carries the image of God inside of you. Imagine yourself as a huge image of God. All of us are puzzle pieces of that image. So, if I didn't know Julie Bolton, I wouldn't know that God cares for the needy. If I didn't worship with Chris and Kelly, I wouldn't know that God loves me the way I am. If I didn't worship with this body of Christ, I wouldn't know that God equips me and protects me before God sends me out, because Jeff Powers taught me. This is how I got to know God a little bit better at Westminster. I got to know God loves to dance because I know Tracy. I got to know that God is kind and joyful because I experienced Aiden before. I got to know God a little bit better. And each one of us gets to know God a little bit better. And when we get to know God better, we get to love God more. I would say this to all of us. Every time we have someone who joins the church, we say, or they make a promise to the church, and we remember this promise that we all made at some point. Blah, blah, blah. That we all made at some point. Will we support the church, do you remember it? With our prayers, our presence, our gifts, our service, our witness. Presence. That doesn't mean gifts, that means be here. Next time, when we want to build community, and you want to think about inviting someone to be part of this community, why don't we invite them with the words, I would love for you to come and join us because we want to get to know God better. And can help us with that. Let us pray. Holy God, we give you thanks for giving us brains and giving us bodies. We give you thanks for the connection that you have created in us, for the light that you have instilled in us, for the love that you have instilled in us. We give you thanks for each person that crosses our path so we can learn more about you. Help us to see you in everyone whom we meet today. I pray this